Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Freight Break. I am your host, Dan Lindsey. Welcome to the show where we break down freight-related topics in practical ways that help you actually grow your business. Here at the Broker Carrier Summit and the BCS Freight Network, we try everything. So we are trying something new today. We are trying a live show. And to help me do that, I'd like to bring on my good friend and fellow board member of the Broker Carrier Summit, Mr. Trey Griggs.
What's up, my friend? Good to be here with you doing something new. I mean, heck, why not? Why not?
Hey, if you can't do something new, don't do anything at all, right?
I got a new mustache here today. I got a new haircut. I'm not really wanting to show it off. Look at all that gray.
Oh, no, look at that.
So let's do a new live show. Why not?
Trey is looking about 125 years old. Why is that, Trey? What were you doing this weekend?
Well, I was playing Sight, the newspaper editor for the world in the Disney musical Newsies, as performed by the Missouri Baptist University Theater Company. And I had to look like I was an 1899 newspaper editor in New York City. And one thing I learned in doing my research is that back in the day, businessmen either had like a really thick, nasty goatee, like a Fu Manchu, just like food in it and stuff like that, little bees crawling around and stuff like that. I wasn't going that route. The other option was a simple mustache, and I threw it kind of like almost looks like got a little bit of handlebars here, just kept a little going down the sides just so I could play the role. And so it worked out.
Okay. Did you go with the monocle, or is that just a historical fallacy that monocles were involved in the
I did not go with the monocle, but that is actually true. But I will say this, I can kind of recreate my look right here. This is actually the look I had for the show, is right here.
Oh, there you go. And see, now we can dispel the rumor that Cale Pearson said on the on LinkedIn that this was not.
It's really me, Cale. I'm just throwing that out there. Mr. Pulitzer, every paper circulation has been down since the war ended. That was my first line, my opening line. So, Cale, that was me, my friend. That's the way it goes.
Well, you've had a busy last few weeks. Actually, we had the Broker Carrier Summit, and you were properly spent after that, as was I and everybody else. And you went right into theater mode. Have you gotten a chance to recover yet?
I mean, yes, I've recovered, but I'm emotionally distraught because you get so connected to the shows. The kids were great. Missouri Baptist University Theater, shout out to them. Casey Cox, very professional company. I learned a lot about theater. I mean, the kids just hit every show. We did 5 shows in 4 days. We had 2 shows on Friday. We did one for high school students and senior adults in the morning, and then 4 regular shows, 3 evening shows, and 1 matinee on Sunday. And it was phenomenal. It was absolutely incredible. One of the best experiences of my life. But you kind of get so attached to it, and then it's just over. You know, it's like you wake up on Monday morning and there's no more emails coming, and there's no more rehearsals, and there's no more performances, and you know, you kind of soak it in, but also kind of just a little sad. So emotionally, I took yesterday off just to kind of recover a little bit emotionally and rest. I slept in a little bit. I took a nap, which I never normally do, and so it was nice to do that. But we're back at it now.
Yeah, we're feeling the same thing in the Lindsey household here. We our girls were both in high school, and they just wrapped up with doing Shrek the musical 4 performances in 3 days. And Selah, our oldest, had the lead. She was Fiona, and so she is properly exhausted as well.
I bet theater's fun though. You know, we both have theater kids, theater daughters. And you know this, it's like when you have a theater kid, you don't get to watch them perform that much. You only watch them perform 4 or 5 times max because most of the rehearsals are closed, at least for Missouri Baptist, they're closed. So I couldn't even go and watch her rehearse. So it was like 4 times and we're done. I was like, that's just not enough. I feel like I need to be a part of this. And so that's how this thing all came about. Is I proposed to my daughter, would you be okay if I audition with you? And she's like, you'd do that? I'm like, yeah, I'd do that. And I'm so happy she wanted me to do that. the car rides there, the conversations, all the music we sang together, and then getting to work in theater together. And she knows more than I do. So she's like, Dad, when you're up there, you should do this and blah, 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 helping me out. And so it really was a real joy. And I'm really glad that we did it.
Very cool. Well, that kind of it does segue into what we're going to talk about today. So Trey is a branding and marketing guru. And if we're going to use the words of, what was it, Bill Shakespeare, all the world is a stage, right? So we're going to talk about how to use the world as your stage as a freight company. So Trey, why don't you give us a little bit of background into you and how you got into marketing, right? Because that's a story in and of itself, I'd imagine. And also how you got into freight, because that's an altogether different story, I would think.
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I need to unbutton at least one button here on the jersey for this. So yes, I'm Trey Griggs. I am the founder and chief encouragement officer, because I'm not really an executive. Chief encouragement officer here at Beta Consulting Group. It's my jersey, which I like to wear. By the way, this is my trade show attire. One of the things I wear at trade shows to try to stand out. And the way that I got into transportation and then into marketing is real simple. I used to be a high school science teacher. I taught physics, which I loved. Best subject in school to teach. I also did some youth ministry and then eventually taught middle school math and science for 3 years after I got married, and enjoyed all of that. In fact, I loved all of that, but none of it paid anything. And I didn't want to be a principal. I didn't want to coach every season and be gone all the time. I saw the teachers that did that. And even though I appreciated them as an athlete, I just saw that they missed a lot of time with family. It's not who I wanted to be or the life that I wanted to live. So I had a friend at church that said, hey, I think you should get into sales. I was like, all I could think of, Dan, was used car salesman. And that thought just sounded awful to be a used car salesman. But this guy said, no, listen, every company has sales. If they don't, then they don't have a business, which seems really fundamental. But when you're a teacher and a youth pastor, you don't think about revenue and how it gets there, because it's, the public schools and, or, nonprofit organizations. A lot of times you don't think about sales. At least I wasn't. And so as I learned this and I realized, okay, every company needs to have sales in order to be a business. Okay, I think maybe I could do this. And I started applying for jobs, couldn't get any. And I finally got one opportunity, which was door to door, selling business supplies, business to business. So like basically selling staples or Office Max, but I sold for a company called Quill. Did that for 15 months, cut my teeth, learned a lot. It was incredibly hard, emotionally challenging and difficult, as everybody who does door to door knows, especially coming from teaching and ministry. And after 15 months of that and somehow surviving that and learning a lot of skills, I went to a recruiter. I said, hey, I'd love to get a real sales job now, maybe something with a base salary and some benefits. And the recruiter just happened to have a relationship with Janice Compton, who's the inside sales manager at DAT. And we were living in Portland at the time. And that's how we got into transportation. I didn't know anything about freight, except my dad was a local truck driver growing up. Looking back, it kind of all, came full circle. So I knew a little bit about that, but I really didn't know about freight brokers. I didn't know how transportation was managed or scheduled. I didn't really understand that. I think I was like the majority of the population that just thinks that the companies that make it, ship it, and it just shows up on your shelf, and don't really understand the complexities and the nuances that go into different modes and different products, different needs that they all have, different types of trucks, all that. So I learned a lot at DAT, did really well there because, let's be honest, after selling door-to-door office supplies, selling DAT to truckers who just bought a truck is super easy. I mean,
there's selling door-to-door, then there's selling pens door-to-door. That's
right. Yeah, I mean, like everybody needs a pen. Here you go. It's 50 cents, whatever. So I did really well there, and I moved up and got to really meet some of the larger freight brokerages and trucking companies in the space, which was a great experience. And then I, like other ambitious people thought, well, if I went the startup route, I could probably make more money. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe the promise of unlimited commissions with a product that doesn't work didn't work out so much, but I learned a lot. And the biggest thing
getting paid last.
Exactly. And less, but what I learned through this, and I love the startup world because I like to build things. I like to create things from scratch. I'm much more of a builder than I am a fixer, I learned. And so one of the things that I realized in doing that is that a lot of these startup companies don't have any marketing or branding to support their sales. Most of them are founder-led sales to begin with, which is all network sales for the most part. Occasionally you have a founder who's really good at sales and or good at marketing, and that's awesome. But most of the time they're good at products or technology or something like that. And so what I discovered was that selling is a lot harder if you don't have a brand, if you don't market, if you don't have that air cover and that support, because what you're really doing is you're asking a salesperson to do all that on top of selling, which is what I ended up doing for the companies I was with. I was at Port TMS, I was at Trucker Tools, and they didn't have a whole lot of marketing in place. I went to Lean, they had a little bit. They were building up their marketing and they didn't really have a sales process. I helped build that. But most of these startups that I was with, I just realized they don't have a brand and they don't know how to build a brand. They don't know how to create marketing that's going to accelerate sales. And so that's when I started Beta Consulting Group back in January of 2022, was to help companies with that. And I primarily work with startups. I love working with startups because I think that's where I can provide the most value and help them, get their brand and their messaging off the ground so that they can accelerate their sales, especially once they transition from founder to non-founder. That's when it's really critical that you have these things in place. And so that's the story of how I got into transportation, and the story of how I got into marketing is I really am a sales guy that thinks about the world from a marketing lens. I tend to be creative. I tend to have ideas. And so it all kind of came together to put that together. And that's where we are today.
Yeah. And that speaks to me directly, seeing I am a founder myself, founder of the Broker Carrier Summit. I founded Linkage Logistics. And one of the things that people don't really realize about founders is that nobody starts a business because they want to get neck deep in marketing, right? They get into business because they want to get, they're a technician of some sort. They have a skill set and they want to build on that by creating a brand or an image for themselves, right? But I heard a veteran describe sales and marketing this way, and it has always stuck with me. If sales is the ground war, marketing is the air war. And the skill set to be a boot on the ground, going, door to door, house to house, whatever it is different than reconning an area and prepping it for aerial bombardment. So the skill sets are very different, but a lot of times, especially in smaller companies, the founder or the founding team ends up doing all of it, whether it's their skill set or not.
That's correct. And I would even take that analogy one step further. Not only is the marketing and branding the air cover, but I would say it's the ammunition. And when you have the ammunition, you're basically putting bullets into the gun of your, frontline forces, because those bullets are the words that you use, the messaging, the collateral that you have, the testimonial content that you get from your customers, the surveys you get from your customers that help understand the value that your product is bringing. And to go back to our theater analogy for a moment, what makes a musical or a play or a movie or even a book, what makes it great is the writing. And here's how I would show that. We all know great actors who have been in great movies and who have been in duds, movies that just were busts. They weren't good at all. Well, what's different there? It's not the actor. The actor and their skills and what they bring to the table is the same. It's the writing. It's the story. That's what's different. And when you think about great marketing and great sales, the best ones, the ones that are most effective, are usually the ones that are the best at telling stories and who are best at communicating effectively and casting and creating a vision and also solving problems. This is also why I think that teachers are shockingly a segment of the population that is not valued in sales and marketing. And let me tell you something. If you're a teacher or if you're a coach, and you're selling a vision and you're communicating every day and you're getting students to buy into that and you're managing those students, that person will probably do very well at either sales or marketing. And a lot of times we don't tap into that field. We don't see the crossover skills. But man, I know there's a lot of teachers that are great at presentation, or great at storytelling, are obviously great at education, identifying problems and then solving them. They're usually good at using analogies, meaning multiple ways to communicate the same thing so that somebody really gets it. There's a lot of skills there that are powerful in sales and marketing, and we don't really tap into those. But it always comes back, in my opinion, to the messaging. That's where everything starts. How you communicate with your audience is really everything.
Well, it makes sense, bro, because at the end of the day, business is people doing business with other people. And how is it that people learn? We don't learn through stats. We learn through stories. That's been timelessly proven from ancient days on until today. So no, it makes a lot of sense. So how do you envision what kind of storytelling makes or composes a good marketing campaign? And
Well, we'll start with this.
Let's dive into the freight world for specifically. So, as a freight company, how would you tell a story that would result in what you would call a successful campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same no matter where you're at. The components are the same. How it might look can always be a little bit different as it unfolds. But the story's the same. Any great story has to have a main character or a hero who's the story. Now, here's where a lot of companies make mistakes. A lot of companies think of themselves as the hero of the story. We're the one that's coming in to save the day. We're the one that's come. We have all these great things. We've built this technology. We have this many users. We've won this many awards. We're on the Inc. 500. We. And that is a major problem that a lot of companies have with their marketing. They come out talking about themselves. And every great story, you should talk about the hero of the story. And that is always the customer. And what that does is it invites them into the story, right? If you make your customer the hero, meaning they have an ambition, that's something they want to do. They want to climb Mount Everest. They want to do whatever it is. They've got something they want to do. But there's a problem. There's a barrier. There's something in the way. Every great story has a problem. Imagine a movie where there was no problem. You wouldn't watch it. You get tired of it right away. You'd be like, oh, there's no problem. The guy's able to, save the world and buy groceries, and there's no issue. There's no problem. Like, why are we watching this? Every great story has a problem. So there's a hero. That's your customer. They have a problem, something that's keeping them from getting what they want. And this is where you come in, is that you are the qualified guide. You are the one person that can help them out. The best analogy that I can give for everybody to understand is in the realm of like weight loss and health. So if you wanted to lose weight, you just struggled for your whole life, you have bad eating habits, whatever, not a lot of movement, and you're like, man, I really want to lose weight. Who are you going to go to help you out? Are you going to go to somebody who's fat and overweight themselves? Or are you going to find somebody who's fit and in shape and can actually get you where they want to go? Even better, what if that person had a story of being overweight like you? So this is where it's really powerful in terms of how you communicate yourself as the vendor, as the service provider. And that is, you're empathetic. You can express empathy. Hey, I know how you feel. And you can express authority. I've done it before. I know the path. I'll show you the way. And when you can express that, now you have a great story. And this is true in any great movie. And the one that makes probably the most sense to kind of look at is Hunger Games. This is an easy one to understand. Most people have watched Hunger Games. Katniss Everdeen. And if you follow that story, you can see all of these elements playing its way through, and it keeps you engaged. This is the crazy thing, Dan. You have a phone in your pocket right now. I've got a phone on my desk or somewhere close by, and this thing distracts us all day long. Nonstop. However, if we went into a movie theater right now and it was a great movie, like it really captured our attention, we would spend 2 hours in that movie almost forgetting that we had a phone, because we are so engaged in this incredible story. And that's what you want with your marketing content. So let's take this to, as you said, a transportation company. If you're a freight broker, for example, and you're trying to communicate with a shipper, first of all, if you're able to hire somebody who has worked at a shipping facility and they can communicate well, hire them, because they know exactly what's going on for that transportation manager or that dock or warehouse manager or the owner of the manufacturer, whoever they are. They know exactly what's going on. If you can't find that, you need to find a freight broker who has worked with warehouses and with manufacturers and can really express empathy and talk about the story. All right, talk about exactly what problems they're facing. So when you think about great marketing content, you think about, what is the main problem that a shipper has? What are some of the main pain points? This is just sales 101. What are they? You have to know what they are. You also need to know, what does that shipper want? Are they wanting to grow? Are they wanting to add locations? Are they wanting to increase volume? What do they actually want? And how is this problem or these problems getting in the way of what they want? You have to communicate that in whatever you're going to do, whether it's social media, email. There's different ways to communicate. You have to communicate those things and be able to communicate that you are the qualified guide that can help them out.
Yeah, and that's so helpful. That's where a lot of companies. What's that?
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, super sexy. Making freight sexy again. That's what marketing is all about, right?
That's right.
No, but you're right.
Right.
Trucking is a niche industry, and you have to have people who are able to speak to the specific niches that you are going to be in. A lot of, again, going back to the founder conversation, a lot of people want to be jacks of all trades, and that will get you so far. But at some point, you have to differentiate yourself by specializing in something. Our friend Melanie Patterson says this very eloquently. She says there are riches in niches, and she's absolutely true, absolutely correct.
Always.
So
let me drop this for everybody that's watching, because I think this is really powerful. A lot of companies struggle and people struggle with communicating what they do concisely, simply, clearly. They struggle with that, especially when they meet for the first time. In fact, if we were to meet for the first time at a trade show and see each other's name tag, the conversation might go something like this. You might say, "Oh, Trey, what's Beta Consulting Group? What do you guys do?" That's a very common start to almost any conversation at a trade show, is they see your badge and they ask, "Oh, what is that?" or "What do you do?" or that kind of thing. A lot of companies struggle to answer that question because they have too much in their mind and they haven't thought through exactly what needs to be said. I'm going to break that down for you right now. Phase one, step one. This is a 30-second readout. Step one is to identify and magnify the problem. So from my world, I might say this. You know how it's pretty difficult to sell your product or service if nobody knows who you are and they don't understand what you do? And most people would say, yep, they would. I'm getting agreement by saying that simple phrase of talking about the problem and magnifying it. And it lengthens out your sales cycle, and it's hard to generate revenue. And sometimes it's hard to stay in business. Man, I'm getting them to say, yes, that is me, man. That is exactly where I am. And then I'd say, wouldn't it be great if in the next 6 months you had a brand where people recognized you, knew exactly what you did, and actually liked you? Yeah, that'd be great. That's exactly what we do at Beta Consulting Group for our clients. We help you become known and trusted among your audience. That's a 30-second pitch that I just gave, where I identified the problem. I gave a what if scenario. Wouldn't it be cool? Imagine if, man, that's one of my favorite phrases is, imagine if you didn't have to do this, or imagine if you could do this. And you put the vision out there of what this could be. And then you say, that's exactly what we do. It's such an easy, simple way. It's like it's a small version of the big story.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you hit on a key topic there when it comes to communicating what you do. It's not only simplicity, but it's brevity. I was at a trade show one time a couple of years ago, transportation related trade show. And I asked, somebody, what do you do? 15 minutes later, we found out what the guy did. and
I hate to laugh, but
I don't remember 14 of those minutes.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that is just so common. And it's usually because you have too much information about your own company and your own business in your head. And so you're trying to get it all out there. And you haven't thought through, how can I succinctly do this?
Yeah. And you're excited about your business, right? You want other people to get as excited as you are about your business. And so one of the things I encourage people all the time is, like, if you cannot tell someone what you do in 30 seconds or less, elevator pitch, right? You have 5 floors. You have 30 seconds each, or 30 seconds. Tell us what you do. Then you either don't know what you do well enough, or 2, you've not worked through how what you do adds value enough to distill it down into the brass tacks. And that's an exercise that I encourage people to work on all the time.
Yeah. And it changes over time because your product might change a little bit. Your customers' needs might change a little bit. You may put out a new product that serves a new customer segment. So for example, there's a lot of companies in our space that service only brokers. And then they get the idea, you know what, we could change this a little bit and we could offer something to carriers. Well, carriers have completely different problems than freight brokers. So you can't speak the same story. You can't tell the same story to do that. You may be selling to brokers and carriers now, and you come up with a shipper product. In fact, I know one of the tech companies that we work with a lot at the Broker Carrier Summit who recently came out with a shipper product. That's a whole nother sales pitch. It's a whole nother story. You have to think through and work through these things. And so I always tell people, if you want to be great at sales and marketing, spend time on your messaging first. Figure out what the heck it is you're going to say, who you're saying it to, and are you speaking their language? Are you speaking in a way that they're going to go, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I need.
Yeah. Well, I think something that gets lost a lot of times as well when we talk about building a brand for a company or an organization, I think what gets lost a lot of times, and you bridge this gap really well, is what is your personal brand? So not only does what does somebody think about when they say Beta Consulting Group, but when someone drops the name Trey Griggs, what is the perception? What is the understanding? What have you put out there in the marketplace that people are going to grab a hold of and say, oh, Trey is this? Because they can either be telling your story, or they could be telling the story that they've made up inside their head. How does personal brand fit into that?
Well, that's interesting. I wonder, for those who are watching, if they know me on here, if they could, drop in the comments just a couple of things that they feel like they know about me, just from content I've put out there or things I've said in the past. Because I think about somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk, who has a really strong personal brand. He also has his company brand, VaynerMedia. But if you were to talk about Gary Vaynerchuk, even if you've never met him, and I've never met him, and I probably never will, but I know that he is a wine connoisseur. I know he is get a little thumbs up there. Love that. He is very much an entrepreneurial mind. He's very creative. He's big into empathy. He loves the New York Jets. He wants to buy them. I just know that about him because he said it over and over and over again. And he's built this personal brand that has been incredibly consistent. And I think a lot of times companies make the mistake of trying to build a company brand without thinking about how personal brands can impact that. It used to be that you would only build the corporate brand. If you're a Coca-Cola, you don't care who owns that thing. You just build the corporate brand. But nowadays, because of social media, because of the access that we have, we're able to have personal brands. This is most easily seen in the NBA. The NBA has probably embraced this more than any other sports league, and that is helping players build their personal brand. It really started back with Magic and Bird, and probably Dr. J, maybe the first kind of personal brand, maybe even Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate Thunder. There were a couple of personalities back in the day that were easy to market. Magic and Bird were that. And then Jordan came along and made the game global. And people, they knew about the Chicago Bulls, but they really knew about Michael Jordan. And Jordan was the personal brand. And they started to see the power of personal brands. We started to see that in Michigan with the Fab Five when, 1992, 1991, when they were freshmen and they went to the Final Four. We started to know who those guys were more than Michigan. And Michigan was a powerhouse even. I mean, they won it all in like 89 with Glenn Rice. And so we started to see the power of personal brands in sports. And now, like, everybody knows Steph Curry. Everybody knows LeBron James. Even if they don't follow basketball or even care about the teams. I mean, some people might not even know what team LeBron James is on because he's been on so many different teams, but they know LeBron James. And so with companies, it's the same way, especially startups. Getting to know the person before the brand is powerful because, again, people want to connect with people more than they want to connect with brands. They love connecting with brands. Don't get me wrong. People love Adidas or Nike. They've got their sports brand of whatever they want to wear, Under Armour, whatever it is. But they really love connecting with the people, with the person, which is why Nike and Gatorade and McDonald's, they were so smart with Michael Jordan. The whole, I want to be like Mike, it wasn't like, I want to be a Chicago Bull. I want to be like Mike. That was really powerful in terms of personal branding. And so I think a lot of companies just miss the mark on that. And it's really easy to do. You just have to be consistent. I would say it's real simple. Take time to write down the 4 or 5 things that you really care about and want to be known for. What are they? And it could be, I want to be known for being a great dad. I want to be known for being a golfer. I want to be like, whatever it is. Those are some of my things. I want to known for being a little different, which is why I wear jerseys at trade shows. I don't wear polos anymore. Everybody wears a polo. I ain't doing that. I'm going to stand out and be different. Like, what do you want to be known for? And then be consistent. People know that I love swag, high quality, well-designed, functional swag. They know that. I talk about that all the time. So if you're consistent with these things, if you stay disciplined and consistent posting about these things, then people over time will start to go, oh, he's the jersey guy. Oh, he's the golfer, whatever. Like, they'll get to know who you are. And that's really powerful because it accelerates the trust. It accelerates the trust building between parties, and trust is required for sales to occur. There has to be some level of trust where they say, yes, I'm going to give my money and I'm going to get what I expect in return.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it speaks to that point as well, where it depends on you getting out there into the marketplace. So as an entrepreneur, especially in transportation, logistics, it's easy to sit in your office, sit in your truck, and just not engage with the marketplace if you don't have to, right? Building a brand for your company, building a personal brand requires you to put yourself out there and be known.
And people often just get in their own way. Yeah, people just get in their own way a lot of times. They overthink it. A lot of times they think it's stupid, or, this is below me, or whatever they might just have in their head, and they might have an objection in their head. I think you're right. They just have to, be willing to put themselves out there, be willing to take some criticism or heat, because that's always going to come when you're out kind of trying to be
Mhm.
a little public. But it also just takes consistency of putting it on the calendar. Like most people have time on their calendar to eat. They have time on their calendar to work out. They have time on their calendar to check email or do things like that. They need to put time on their calendar to engage in social media and to build a brand that way, and just get started. I remember for my journey, it started in late 2018. I can't remember what I read or what happened, but something spurred me to say, I'm gonna be consistent on social media. I'm gonna post every day. So in 2019, I posted every day, and it could have been something I read, something I listened to, something happened at the job, a conversation with my daughter, outside working on the lawn, and something came to me. I just started posting whatever, pictures, videos, messages, whatever. And when I realized it was working, this is interesting. So when I went to Freight Waves, they'd had a conference in, I think it was late October, early November in Chicago. I think it was 2019 or maybe 2018. Maybe it's 2018. Might have my years off here. Anyways, yes. No, it was 2019. I'm sorry. It's 2019. Anyways, all that to say, I go to Chicago.
All of pre-COVID is a blur.
I go to this that's absolutely true. It's hard to know. I mean, all those years kind of just crumble into one clump of time. So I go to the conference in Chicago, and it was the first time that I'd ever had people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're the guy that did the thing with the hat. Oh, you're the guy that, oh, I watched you do this. Oh, that was so cool. Oh, I didn't know you were a Chiefs fan." Like, these people came up and started talking about me as if they knew me, and I had no idea who they were. Like, I had never met them before. No clue. And they weren't engaging on the platform. It's not like they were putting comments in. It's not like I saw them engaging. They were just watching what we call dark social. They were just watching. They're just checking things out. And more people watched than you think. And so I started to realize, wow, this is working. I'm going to keep doing this. And so I just kept doing that. I think at the time I had like 900 followers. I mean, it wasn't that big on LinkedIn, and I just kept doing it. And I just kept seeing that grow and grow. And, there are people in our industry that have significantly more followers than me. They've been more consistent for a longer period of time, but I just saw mine grow as well. And I think right now I'm like at 12,000, a little over 12,000. And you've seen this happen in the last year and a half. You've been much better about posting personally and creating that personal brand. I think you're at like what, 5,000-6,000 now. I mean, you've grown substantially.
Summit's at 5. I'm almost to 9 right now.
But you're at 9. Okay, that's right. Summit's at 5. You're at 9.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And here's the thing though, because I'm not going to lie, I freaking hate social media. I hate all of it. I'm not a fan. So we're talking about putting yourself out there and doing things that are uncomfortable to do. I don't like posting on social media. I don't like people knowing about my life. At the same time, there's a story worth telling that has to get out. And specifically when it comes to the Broker Carrier Summit, that freaking story is going to get told. And if anyone's going to tell it, it's going to be me. And so, yeah, it's an exercise in that. And I think it's important to note too, you don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to go out and get, 50,000 followers. Like, yeah, okay. You might get a bunch of bots following you and a bunch of useless, commentary going back and forth. Right. But if you offer something of value, the people that do follow you, whether it's 50,000, 100,000 or 12, the people that do follow you are going to get more value out of it than if you just went into it with the idea of like getting 1 million followers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. And I think about just you and I, for example, like we were connected, but we hadn't really spent a lot of time getting to know each other until, probably last summer, 2023. I think it's when things started to pick up for us because, you asked if I would MC the Tampa Bay Summit, and we started to get to know each other a little bit, and it was great. But I didn't know that your daughter did theater, and you probably didn't know that my daughter did theater. But the fact that
I didn't know you sang barbershop either. So.
I mean, there's a lot you probably don't know about me, man, but that's for another day.
Yes.
But the point is when I realized that you have the same situation that I have, you've got a daughter that does theater. She's in high school. We're living in the same world. So now we have another connection that we wouldn't have had if we'd never gotten to that point. And I know that there's I posted about this yesterday. I posted about being in Newsies and doing it with my daughter. And there were some people like, that's cool. But there were 2 gentlemen in particular said, I did that with my daughter. And now we have another shared connection to where they feel even closer to me and I feel closer to them than before. And that's the benefit of putting yourself out there and sharing personal things. Some people say, oh, don't share personal things. I think that's a joke. Listen, it's person to person sales. You're always selling to people. There's always a person on the other end making that decision. So don't be afraid to share some personal things. Now, there can be kind of going over the line, and you can figure out what that is. The marketplace will let you know what that is. If they don't engage, don't like it, they'll let you know. But if you're sharing about something you're learning or an experience with your kids or something like that, I say go for it, because that's going to connect with people. That's going to resonate with people that go, man, I've got a daughter who's in theater. Maybe I should audition and be a part of that. That'd be really fun. Or, wow, Trey knows exactly
Well,
how
especially
my life
if
is.
that's something that you want to be known for, right? If that's
Yeah.
one of those core things that you want to be known for, is you being a father or a husband or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Put that stuff out there. Let people know who
Yeah.
you are on your
Yeah.
terms,
Right.
right? A lot of
And there's
people
people that,
and
yeah, and there's people that have skills and interest that they think they're the only one, but they're not. But if they don't put themselves
right.
out there or don't show it off a little bit, they're not going to make those connections. I mean, I'm a Jeep guy, right? I had no idea who was into Jeeps until I bought a Jeep and started talking about being a Jeep guy. And now people are like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, what have you tripped that thing out yet? You tricked it out? You raised it up yet? I mean, now they're talking Jeep lingo. How many ducks do you have? And just all this other stuff. I
I don't
never
get it. What
talked
is
like
it
that
with the
before.
ducks? I don't know I'm not a Jeep guy. What is it with the ducks? I don't
I
understand this.
I don't know. We're gonna have to look this up, because I heard somebody tell the story recently. It's the weirdest thing in the world, and I got my first duck like within a week of having the Jeep. It was
Wait,
crazy, but
how did you get a duck without knowing what the duck is
no,
for?
someone gave it to me.
What the
Like
Oh,
this
so
is
it's
what
the
they do is
Jeep
they
owners
give
give
them.
each
So
other
if
ducks?
you like somebody's Jeep, you'll put a duck on their
Jeep owners, weigh
door.
in the chat. We need to figure this out.
There's something to it. I don't know exactly what it is, but I've got 6 of them now in my car. And it's just something that, and here's another thing too about Jeep owners. When you drive past a Jeep, you almost always, what up? It's almost like motorcycles. Motorcycle guys will say what's up to motorcycles as they pass. It's the same with Jeeps. Every time I pass a Jeep, somebody's like, "What's up, dude?" Like because we're connected. Like we got the same experience. We're driving Jeeps, and so it's weird. I don't know what the reason is, but again, it's one more thing that allows people to connect. When I posted a few things about my Jeep this summer, tops off and stuff like that, which was really fun, all these people that drove Jeeps or grew up and their parents had a Jeep or whatever kind of came out of the woodworks, and we had a stronger connection. And it's just, that's just the benefit of doing that, of putting yourself out there on social media. So it's good stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I did a quick Google. I'm
All
not
right,
going
what do we got?
to rely on
You should share
Google
your screen
AI.
so everybody can see this.
It's called. I don't even know how to do that. So
Shift S, my friend. Shift S. It's super
Shift
simple.
Shift S. I have 4
Shift
screens. I'll
S.
do the wrong one. Shift S. So Jeep ducking. This is the behind the scenes look as to what goes on in the tech side with Broker Carrier Summit. Dan breaks stuff, and Trey and the
Dan
team
has no idea
tries
what's
like
going
hell
on.
to fix it. That's the process.
We'll work on the screen
Anyway,
sharing for the next episode. All right.
we'll work on that. Like I said, we're trying new things. Dan doesn't like going live, but here we are doing live
Well,
stuff.
you could be like Joe Rogan if you just try it and hit Shift S and put it up there. We could.
I could also be like Joe Rogan if I was jacked and had 100 million followers, but we don't have that yet. So we'll
You're
figure it
right.
out.
You're right. One step at a time.
But
One step at a
one
time.
step. Right now, we're on Google AI. Jeep ducking. It's called ducking. It's a
Wow, it's a
tradition where
verb.
Jeep owners leave rubber ducks on other Jeeps to spread kindness and make the owner smile.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting, because I thought it was when you like someone's Jeep. Like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a
well,
cool Jeep.
maybe it is, and maybe the fact that somebody likes your Jeep makes you smile. It says the tradition
I
originated in 2020, which I don't think that's
really.
true.
That
No,
seems
because
really.
I've seen ducks on Jeeps from like in the 90s.
AI sucks. They don't know
Here's,
anything past that.
yeah,
They don't know
AI.
what's going
See, okay,
on.
people, don't rely on AI. AI is
I've
trash. We'll
gotten
find out what the Jeep ducking thing is.
well. Here's why I think it is, because I've gotten a lot of ducks that are the color of my Jeep, which is kind of a burnt orange. I've gotten a lot of ducks that are very similar colors.
Okay.
And so I felt like it was like, oh, I like your Jeep, and I'm not sure if you order these on Amazon. I haven't even looked into it yet. I'm sure you can order packages of ducks on Amazon for this. It's a whole community thing. Owning a Jeep is a problem. Let me just say that, everybody. It is a problem. Don't do it unless you are sure that you want to get into all this. There's accessories out the wazoo. I think I spent $500 on accessories the first week that I owned the thing. Just like, ooh, that would be fun to have.
Is the tagline for Jeep owners still "That's how we roll"? Is that how that works?
I didn't even know we had a tagline. I mean, look it up. I don't know. Maybe
Get it because they roll over. Is that?
Yeah, maybe.
There's
I
no
mean, it's
laughs.
possible. I
We
definitely
need
take
a
corners
laugh
lot.
track.
I definitely. Well, we got laugh tracks.
That was supposed to be.
I definitely take corners a lot slower than I used to. I'll just throw that out there. Like I'm not flying around corners anymore. Yeah.
That's true.
Laugh track. We need a laugh track. That's true.
All right. We'll find a laugh track.
All right. So
Anyway,
let's bring this in for a landing, my friend. So I'm going to finish with this. All right.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing when it comes to sales and marketing is that you find a way to truly differentiate and stand out. You find a way to be different. And sometimes that means trying things that are a little crazy, some ideas, and see what sticks. But think about, how can I really be different? How can I be memorable? Because those are the things, like you said before, you talked to that guy for 16 minutes, don't even remember any of it. But how can you be memorable? And so, for example, the reason why I ordered this jersey and the reason why I wear it and other jerseys at shows is because I started to look around and I noticed that at most of these trade shows we go to, everybody's either in a button-up shirt or a polo, almost every one of them. And it's hard to really stand out and be different, right? And so I thought, well, I'm just going to start wearing jerseys and see what happens. And it's amazing because they're like, oh, you're the guy in the Chiefs jersey. Or I'll say, hey, I'm over, I'm at this area of the exhibit hall. Look for the Chiefs jersey. It's a Kelsey jersey. Made it easy for them to find me, made me memorable, helped me stand out. There's a lot of things that you can do, whether it's what you wear, what you say, the shoes you wear. Shoe game's a big thing right now. People really love looking at people's shoes. It could be wearing a hat. Tom Curie's worn a hat at every show, probably since he got in the industry 20 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever it was. Whatever it is, find a way that you can be you and you can really stand out and be different. And here's the number one way that you can stand out and be different. And that is by having a phenomenal product or service. I think that everything starts with a great product or service. Marketing will often get you in the door, but the product will keep you there and truly build your brand. It'll turn customers into fans if you have a great product and you treat them well. So spend time on your product. Make sure your product or service that it's really, really good. And then it's even easier to market because now you start to build fans and cheerleaders out there who can do the marketing for you just by word of mouth, which is powerful.
Powerful stuff. Appreciate that, my friend. Let's talk real quick before we bring this to a close. Bring it home to the Broker Carrier Summit. Are we ready for this announcement?
I don't know. What are you about to say?
Announcement? I don't know. I say things. And
that's how coordinated we are in our marketing efforts here. We're working on it.
Yeah, we have a story to tell. We're super excited about it. Are we going to make this announcement today, or are we going to make it later?
I mean,
I say we make it now. Yeah. All right. So as of, what was it, last Thursday, Mr. Trey Griggs, in addition to being the director of marketing on our board of directors, is also going to be taking on the role of director of event operations for the Broker Carrier Summit. Super excited about this. As I mentioned it was in the Thursday session at the most recent summit in Fort Worth. Trey and his team have been the operational guts behind the events that we put on so far. So I'm super excited to be working even more closely with you as we
we'll find out. We'll find out if that's true or not.
Yeah, it might. We're going to find out what too close for comfort is on our working relationship pretty quickly.
That's right. No, it's incredibly exciting. I'm very thankful for the trust that you have in myself and in us. I feel like we've been kind of doing a lot of this already and kind of building a job for ourselves as it is. But sometimes I can't believe how much I love the Broker Carrier Summit. When I came the first one in Tampa, I didn't really know what to expect. I was just going to MC the event, get a feel for it. And I saw something there that was incredibly unique and different than anything I've ever experienced before. I mean, I'm a trade show warrior. I'm a road warrior. I've been to so many events over the years, and they're all the same. The kind of cookie cutter, exhibit hall, keynote speakers, all that kind of stuff. It's like kind of the same. And we just, we decided to change it up and do things drastically different. I couldn't believe what that was like. Thanks, Tyson. Appreciate it, man. Love you, brother. Can't wait to see you in Seattle in about a month and a half. But I just saw something that was incredibly unique and something that the market really wanted. This idea of bringing brokers and carriers together to really find each other and do business together. And I was blown away by a couple of things that make me even more excited about it moving forward is the value that brokers and carriers are getting by actually talking to each other, being in the same room. This premise, this kind of idea that you had has come to fruition in the sense that people are sitting across the table at meals and during speed dating at the bars, and they're getting to know each other's families and businesses, and they're wanting to work together. And just by the fact that they're paying for and showing up for this, they're saying, I'm a legit player in this industry. I want to do things the right way. I want to take care of people. That may not always be the case, but as of right now, that is the case. The people come to this thing are the good guys and the certified non-scumbags, as we call them. And so I love seeing the brokers and the carriers get a lot of value out of being together. I talked to one carrier in Fort Worth who I said, is this your first event? He goes, no, I've been here before. And I was like, oh, were you at Tampa or Kansas City? I didn't get a chance to meet him there. And he goes, I was in Kansas City. And I was like, man, that's great. Why'd you come back? And he goes, my business has grown and become more stable in the last 6 months than ever before, almost exclusively from the brokers that I met in Kansas City. And man, I was like, that just warmed my heart. Like, yeah, this is why we're doing this. This is exactly why we're doing this. It's for those stories, for those small carriers that are struggling on load boards, struggling to find good partners that can keep them running, keep those wheels turning, keep them with good paying freight, pay them on time, give them the right information, communicate well. And the same thing for brokers, to find carriers who are going to do a good job and give them timely updates and be on time and all those kind of things. It's neat to see that value come together. I was really excited about that. But also, I'm equally as excited for all of our sponsors. Because man, when we were at Tampa, we don't have exhibit halls, we don't have trade show booths, we don't have kiosks, nothing. And I remember in the back of my mind going, man, these sponsors have got to be hating this. I mean, I literally was thinking that while I was doing the event. These sponsors have to be hating this. And then a friend of mine who works at a tech company who was sponsoring there and was at the show came up and he goes, man, this is incredible. He goes, this is such a great show. I have more qualified leads from this than any other show I've been at. And I was in my mind, I'm like, dude, I know what shows you go to. That can't be true. I literally was super skeptical. I didn't say it at the time, but in my mind, I was like, that was nice of you to say, but that's not true. There's no way that's true. And then I heard it from another sponsor in Tampa Bay. And then I heard it from sponsors in Kansas City. And then what really kind of cemented me on the value of this is I heard from some sponsors, some CEOs at companies I incredibly respect, who said, this is my favorite event. We have more qualified leads here than we've had at any other event. And again, I know what events they go to. And they said, don't ever have booths. You forced my salespeople to get immersed and to network and to meet people. And because of that, they have better relationships and they have better opportunities. And man, it just crystallized to me the value of what we're doing, because it starts with relationships. For brokers and carriers, it's got to start with relationship. For sponsors and vendors, it's got to start with a relationship. And that just accelerates the trust. Like, listen, we had a conversation. We played golf together. We sat across from each other at lunch. We were a part of whatever it is. The relationship is significantly stronger. And that leads to better business opportunities and more consistent and stable business opportunities. And so I can't be more excited about being a part of this event and where it's going to go. We don't know. We're going to try some things. As I said from stage, we're going to take some swings. We're going to miss a few times. We're going to hit a couple home runs. And hopefully, most importantly, the people who are part of this movement, who become members, who come to the events, who come to the regional events, who play in the golf tournament, everybody gets a ton of value out of what we're creating. And that's what's exciting for me.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. One of the things we say is the Broker Carrier Summit is the place where deals get done and brands get elevated. And that is across the board. It's not just for sponsors, not just for brokers, not just for carriers. It's for everyone. Deals can get done across the table, whether it's lunch or networking, whatever.
We did flip that saying, though. It's where brands are elevated and deals get done, because the reputation and the relationship comes first. The business comes right after that. And it's powerful. Yep. And, for these small and medium-sized brokers and carriers, especially, and even some of the small companies, the tech companies out there, there's a chance for them to become known in this circle and truly be elevated. And that's exciting. That's really exciting as well, because this is what I spend my day job doing, is trying to elevate brands and build them. And this is just right in the vein of that. So it fits really well.
All right. Very cool, my friend. Well, we're coming up to the end of it. It was a pleasure talking with you as always. I'm going to send you back to the green room and we'll wrap this up here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Freight Break. Again, my name is Dan Lindsey. If you found this content valuable, give us a like or subscribe. Also, check us out at www.brokercarriersummit.com. And if you get the opportunity to meet up with us in Indianapolis this upcoming April 2025, for the Indianapolis Broker Carrier Summit. Tickets are on sale now. Again, you can go to www.brokercarriersummit.com for more details. Take care, everyone. Be well.